Hello, and welcome to Kristen on YouTube and on my blog. Let this be your official welcome to my rose-colored ice cream flavored corner of the internet. Obviously, my name is Kristen and I am here with another video for you that will go along with the blog post over on my website. Now, if you're coming to me from YouTube and this is the first time you're seeing my face, you may not know that I just returned from almost 2-week-long trip to Europe with my family. It was amazing. I'm still exhausted, still living on Rome time, so that's fun. But other than that, it was an amazing trip, and I've been getting some questions about my trip and where we went and all of that over on Instagram and on Twitter, but I will try and touch on just the general overview of traveling to Europe for the first time. Flying there, I get really bad motion sickness and boat sickness, and I get really stressed about traveling and flying and being on a boat. So I'll just get started with the general trip overview, since obviously you guys weren't there, you wouldn't know. And then I do have some notes on my phone just about the cruise stops because I cannot remember all the cities and I don't want to leave anything out. Before I get started with talking about specifics of the trip, I do just want to acknowledge that I'm not trying to brag in any way about this trip. This trip was a huge deal for my family and not something that we do all the time, obviously, so this was very special and we are aware of that. My older sister just graduated from college and I will be graduating this December, and then my younger brother will be graduating from high school come spring. So 3 big graduations and we have a lot to celebrate, so we are very blessed. We're very thankful. Without further ado, I'm just going to get into kind of our itinerary. We flew into Rome where our cruise was going to leave from, but we wanted to spend a couple extra days in Rome because there is so much to see. So we flew into Rome a couple nights early, but mostly for Rome and then our shore excursions throughout the cruise, we mostly went with a company called Viator. We had some more private tours where it was just our family or with a couple other families, and then we did have one day towards the end of the cruise where we were on a full-size tour bus with about 50 people. In Rome, we actually stayed in an Airbnb instead of a hotel, which I thought was awesome. In Rome, we toured the Vatican, the Colosseum, St. Peter's Basilica, the Sistine Chapel, the Roman Forum, the Pantheon. We saw the Trevi Fountain, total Lizzie McGuire moment. There's just so much to see there and it was so amazing. And I mean, I listed off all those things, but that's just so many huge pieces of history, and I'm a history nerd, so that was pretty cool too. It was really hot, so it was kind of uncomfortable being outside the whole day, but there was so much to see and the city is just so beautiful and the people were so nice and the food was amazing. Come on, Italian food, oh, please. We cruised with Royal Caribbean. The boat was called the Symphony of the Seas, which apparently is the largest cruise boat in the world right now. And then we cruised to Naples. Our family, at least, didn't visit the city of Naples. Instead, we went with a tour to tour Sorrento, Positano, and Pompeii. So that was a lot of driving that day because Sorrento, Positano, Pompeii, and then Naples are not super close to each other. I know I'm talking really fast. I'm trying to not let this video be 30 minutes because it was a 2-week trip, so there was a lot to do and a lot to see, but I want to get through it all. The next stop was Barcelona, which was one of my favorite cities, I think, from the trip. Our next stop was Palma de Mallorca, and we only did a hop on, hop off, I can never say that, a hop on, hop off bus tour. It wasn't great. The city was beautiful, but it was just the bus tour itself wasn't awesome, and it probably was not the best way to see the city. And then the next stop was Marseille, France, which I actually didn't get off the boat in Marseille. I just wasn't feeling good that day. Had not slept well the night before. The boat was very rocking, kind of seasick the night before. And then finally our last stop on the cruise was in La Spezia. We did a big bus tour that was about 50 people, and I definitely wouldn't recommend the company that we were with for that one, so that was kind of a big regret that we had because there was so much to see in Florence, so much to see in Pisa, and we spent a lot of time just driving around and just waiting for the other people on the bus. So we did go to Pisa, which is the Leaning Tower of Pisa, but that was one of the biggest surprises for us on the trip because you always just see people doing the cheesy putting their hands up, holding up the Tower of Pisa kind of thing, but there's some really beautiful other buildings right by the Leaning Tower because it wasn't built to just be some odd leaning tower. It was actually a church tower, or built as a church bell tower. After we stopped in Pisa, we got back on the bus with all our 45 other friends and then we drove all the way to Florence. It was just a very crowded city, very beautiful city, but I was personally just very overwhelmed. It almost had like a New York City feel, just with the amount of people and like how narrow the sidewalks and the streets were compared to the other cities that we had been in. But Florence, definitely, I always felt like there was so many people around, and that kind of just took away from me being able to enjoy the city, because I was just very like overstimulated by the noise and the people and the heat and everything. So that was kind of just a little too much for me, and it was the end of the day. My allergies got so bad right when I went to sit down to film this video. I'm so sorry. Okay, but we pretty much, like I said, we pretty much used Viator and then TripAdvisor and then recommendations for friends for the whole trip. My camera's blinking at me to tell me I gotta stop filming soon, so I'm gonna try and wrap it up. So that is a little overview of where we went in Europe. I hope that's somewhat helpful or insightful. I will definitely have more information in my blog post because I can only talk so fast. So if you want to see more details on specifics of the cities and the cruise and what we did and where we went, it'll all be in the blog post. I'll have some more specifics there, and I'll try to include specific names of tourism companies if that would be useful for you to see if you're going to be touring any of these amazing European cities in the near or distant future. That is all I have for you for this video. Again, you can subscribe to my channel, subscribe to my blog, check out my All About Europe blog post. I also did like a little Candidly Kristen, which is kind of my signature thing, just real talking about what it was like and just a little wrap up and life back in Florida. I hope you enjoyed this video, hearing about my crazy European adventures. Sorry I was talking so fast, that's kind of my thing too. I kind of wanted to just skim over everything, and then I can get more in depth if you have specific questions. I'll have some more posts, some more details, all that good stuff. Until then, be sure to follow me on Instagram as well. I have some Europe pictures already posted on there that you can check out in the meantime. And until then, I hope to see you back real soon.